Welcome to Thrive at 9 Wellness Dialogues, the student wellness radio show all about college wellness on campus. I'm your host today, Dr. Stacy Haynes. Our regular co-host, Dr. Shaw, is on holiday already, but we will be having a great show lined up for you today. If you are joining us for the first time, our show really focuses on providing wellness tips, strategies for college students, and the Wellness Center here at Rutgers Camden. We want to make sure that we are your hub for providing all things wellness, medical, physical, social, and emotional well-being here at Rutgers. I am so excited today, folks. We have two great guests that will be joining us. But first up, let me kind of share some fun things that are going on campus today. If you have not had the opportunity to check out the Scarlet's Raptor's Nest, we definitely encourage you with the holiday season coming up. I know many of you will be cooking here on campus. You can go and pick up your holiday goodies from the Raptor's Nest. Also, if you registered for our turkey time, if you have a turkey that is waiting for you, today is that last pickup from 1 to 3:45 p.m. So please make sure that if you registered for your free turkey, that you go over to the Scarlet Raptor's Nest today and pick that up. Students, we are still in the Raptors versus Raiders food challenge. And what does that mean? We need you to bring in those non-perishable food items, those donations. We are trying to combat food insecurity on college campuses. We know that this is a huge concern on campuses nationwide, and so we are just doing our part the month of November to help with food insecurity. So you can drop off those donations. Again, we are collecting them in the Scarlet Raptor's Nest as well as the Student Wellness Center and the Campus Center. All non-perishable food items will be accepted. Also, hygiene products, protein bars, dry cereals, anything that can help our students with food insecurity. So we definitely do appreciate that. It is getting quiet around campus. This is one thing I can definitely say about the holiday season. Students are starting to head home, get out of sight, which we love. Again, just the idea of supporting each other while we're here. Students, we want to take some time to let you know about two resources. Sometimes during that holiday, we feel isolated, we feel alone. I just want to let you know that Togetherall is a resource. Togetherall is a resource that you can access whether you're here on campus, whether you're at home, and it really is a support community for your mental health and well-being. And so our campus closes down, our office is closed down, but you have access to resources, again, even though the campus will be closed down. So without further ado, though, I'd like to jump in. We don't have my co-host B, so Dr. Shaw and I do not get to share our fun weekend drama and stories, but I have one of our other medical professionals, Karen Kramer, here. Karen, thank you so much for being part of the show today. Just go ahead and introduce yourself to our student body.
Okay. My name is Karen Kramer. I'm one of the nurse practitioners in the Wellness Center. I'm a women's health nurse practitioner, but I do a little bit of everything. I've worked here many years. I really enjoy working with the students.
So Karen, when you say many though, how many years have you been here?
Over 30 years.
I know,
yes.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
And we thank you. Again, family, this is one of those wonderful things about Rutgers Camden. It seems like once folks get here, they do not want to leave. And Karen is a great example of that. And Karen, you're going to be sharing today, which for me, it's a really interesting topic, talking about ear health. Tell us a little bit about what we should know about ear health.
Okay, well, when I first thought of the topic, what came to mind first was making sure you didn't use Q-tips in your ears and making sure you didn't harm your ears with trying to get wax out and things like that. But as I researched it more and more, I realized there's a lot more to ear health than we realize. So some of the topics that I do want to talk about today are protecting your ears from noise, keeping your ears clean, preventing getting sick, recognizing the signs of hearing loss, and just talking a little bit about ear anatomy. I wish I could show you, I have a nice graphic here if we were able to show the PowerPoint, but the ear canal, the external ear canal, leads to the drum, the eardrum, the tympanic membrane, and behind that is all the neurological, the nerves and all of the bones that will conduct sound. So the eardrum actually does resonate like a drum skin, if you've ever seen that. The ear canal is supposed to have a little bit of wax in it, and that will keep your ears protected from any kind of things getting in. I once had a patient who was a first responder after 9/11 in 2001. And when he came back from New York City, he had soot all in his ear canal and up against his tympanic membrane. So that, things definitely can get into your ears. It's very popular now, I think, for people to want to really clean their ears out and get all the wax out, but really the wax is supposed to be there.
That's an interesting point. Like, I never knew that you're supposed to have a little bit of wax still there.
Yes.
I love that, though,
Yes.
because, right, I'm thinking it has to be completely clean, but I love that you're saying, no, a little bit of wax is healthy.
Oh, yes, right.
So don't clean it all out.
Don't clean it all out, right, exactly. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. And then protecting ears from noise. So really, people wear earbuds and headphones and things like that. And you really do want to keep the decibel level below the level of 70. So that may be difficult to know, without any kind of a decibel meter. But there are actually several decibel meters that are free. Some of them you have to pay for. But I downloaded NIOSH, the NIOSH meter. And like right now, as I'm speaking, okay, that's 47 decibels.
I love it that it can tell you in real time. Yes, that's awesome.
Okay. But really, you want to have your sound less than 60, if possible. So the NIOSH is one app that you can use. Decibel X Sound Meter is another one. There's many of them if you go on the App Store, but some of them you have to pay for. But concerts, lawnmowers, leaf blowers, hair dryers, things like that. So some of the things that you can do are to get foam or silicone earplugs, little things that you kind of roll up and stick into your ear canal. And musicians and some people that work in areas where they have a lot of noise have custom fitted earplugs. So that's something that you could have made if you were a drummer or some kind of musician where you're around loud noises all the time. They do say that 60% for your headphones, having your setting be 60% or less, and no more than 1 hour a day for headphones.
Headphones.
So people keep them on all day, and that actually can be causing long-term damage.
Awesome. Well, it's interesting, Karen, that you talked about the earplugs, because one thing I've noticed in community places like churches or conference centers or concerts, that I'm seeing stations now with earplugs in them for people, right, that are attending these type of events, because I think, again, I don't know if we're becoming more aware of ear health and ear safety, but then also sensory issues too. I know sound can be difficult for neurodivergent students or students who have sensory issues, but maybe that's something we need to look into for the dorms, I'm thinking, like to maybe have some earplugs around campus.
I know students have told me that they feel like it's very noisy there. So just to segue into another topic, so keeping ears clean, you really don't have to use a Q-tip in the canal. If you want to take a Q-tip and just gently go around the ear cartilage on the outside and clean, that area, particularly if it's wet after a shower or something like that. But don't put the Q-tip into the canal. Some people will say that they feel like they have muffled hearing and they feel like they have, a sense of fullness in their ear. So we do have students come over and we'll look in their ears, and if we see a big plug of wax, it's called, the medical term is cerumen impaction. The first thing that is best to do is to use some kind of a drop in the ear that will soften the wax. And usually the person will buy it in the drugstore, use it at home once or twice a day for about 4 or 5 days. Then they come back to us, and we have a little apparatus that we can fill with warm, clean water, and we can gently squirt that in the ear, and it will remove the excess wax. Sometimes you'll see like a chunk of wax come out, and the person, I can think of one young woman who said, "Oh, wow, I can hear so much better now." So that's the safe way to clean your ears if you do have too much wax. And go ahead.
Okay, talking about safe ways, it's interesting because I'm thinking about people so using things like peroxide, is that safe or not safe to clean your ears with?
Well,
I'm just thinking of what we used to do back in the day.
I know. The Debrox is carbamide peroxide, so it's a type of peroxide, but it's a glycerin base and it's peroxide, so it's a combination.
Okay.
I
The
guess
old
you
way
could.
was to put it in, and then you put the cotton ball in your
Right.
ear, and then you'd sit like this for like an
Yeah,
hour.
right.
Okay.
Yes, and and people have talked about warm olive oil. I mean, I'm
Okay.
sure those things are not harmful.
Okay.
But sticking a curette or some kind of a sharp instrument in there, it definitely can be. I have seen punctured eardrums actually. So never insert the Q-tip into the canal. Is what one of the things we were saying earlier, and then preventing getting sick. So, touching your face, touching your eyes, touching your mouth, particularly when you touch surfaces, there can be virus particles and things like that on the surface. So washing your hands consistently. And it's not unusual after you're sick with a cold that you don't hear as well for a little while. So don't worry if you feel like you can't hear as well. It's just fluid, usually behind the eardrum, that needs to drain down into the eustachian tube. But if you're concerned, you can come to one of us at Student Wellness and we can check it out for you.
Well, Karen, when I first started out in mental health, one of the things that I noticed that a lot of students, for example, with ADHD diagnosis had allergies and then tubes in their ears.
Yes.
And I happened to ask my pediatrician one time because I'm like, is there a correlation? Is there a relationship? Like I seen like almost every time I would do an intake or an assessment and I'm doing a medical history, not only am I finding out, again, that they have like, let's say food allergies, things like that, but they would have some type of ear concern or hearing issues when you just had like the muffledness and things like that. And he said oftentimes what happens is when we're around germs, like you said, and things getting into and then fluid in your ears and nose,
Yes.
your ear, nose, and throat, that does impact focus, your ability to pay attention, your ability. So he said it's not that there's a correlation. He kind of debunked my theory. But he did say there is something about, right, even the idea of having germs causes that kind of fluid buildup, and then that causes people to have difficulty to focus. And then when we have oftentimes ear aches and ear difficulties, I don't know what the correct medical term for that is, that individual ear infections, there it is, I'm trying to think of the word, ear infections, that oftentimes, especially when they're younger, then they would end up having like the tubes in their ears because of like numerous ear infections and things like that. But it's interesting how that even ear health impacts your focus, your ability to hear, but even just your ability to pay attention.
Yes, and that's true. I've seen children where they actually had a language delay because the sound that they were hearing coming in of their parents talking or other people talking was very muffled. It was like they were listening to sound underwater. And once they have the tubes, then the tympanic membrane, could vibrate the way it needed to and conduct the sound. One of the things that could happen if people are using headphones and having hearing loss, it would be, to recognize the signs of hearing loss. So tinnitus or tinnitus, I've heard it pronounced both ways, but that's like a high-pitched ringing in the ear, and that can be the sign of hearing loss. Turning up the television, asking people to speak louder, and actually after a loud party or a loud concert, you might need 16 or 18 hours of quiet to recover from the hearing impact of the loud music.
Yeah, I was at a concert last night, and that's how I feel today.
Yeah.
I'm like kind of out of it. I'm
Right.
like, okay, one, I'm too old to be hanging out at concerts late at night, but you're right, that idea of like even kind of like the fog brain that kind of
Right.
happens because of the sound for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to see someone, if you had a concern about your hearing, who would you go to? So you could come to us in Student Wellness and we could check your ears, check the eardrum. I mean, from time to time, we do see people with a punctured eardrum or perforated eardrum. That can happen.
Yeah.
We can diagnose middle ear infections. They call that otitis media, or something called a serous effusion, where they have fluid behind their eardrum. So when you look in with the otoscope, you see little bubbles, and that it's little bits of fluid that have to drain down the eustachian tube. So we can diagnose those kind of things. We don't do hearing tests in Student Wellness, but we could refer you to an audiologist who's a specialist who does hearing tests, and we could refer you to an ear, nose, and throat physician, a doctor who can examine the ears. So those are some things that I just, I wanted to be very brief today. I knew we didn't have much time this morning, but that's a very important area of health is the ear health.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Karen, I learned some things today because, again, even the idea of those over-the-counter kind of ear kits.
Yes.
I kind of always questioned whether or not they were really doing their job. But even to hear you say that's what we would do and then go in to see the medical professional once it's kind of been cleared out.
Yeah, if we tried to just squirt the water in when the wax is kind of crusty and hard, it'll just, the water will splash back. If you soften the wax, and if you're going to buy the Debrox, it doesn't have to be the Debrox brand. It could be the CVS brand or whatever store brand. But if you're going to buy that, it's best to buy the kit. And it comes with a little bulb syringe. And what you do with that is you put the drops in your ear. You put, I think, 5 drops and wait 10 minutes.
Yep.
And yeah, right.
Fill your head.
Just like you demonstrated before. And,
I've done it
and then
several
what
times.
you do is get a little bowl of warm water and go over to the sink and kind of put your ear over the sink and take the bulb and squeeze it and get some water up into that bulb, and then go over to the sink and squirt that into your ear. And you might see little bits of wax come out on your own in your own bathroom. But then come in and we can check it again and make sure all of the wax, the excess wax came out. So
great. And students, again, we heard Karen say download that decimal meter. I think that's a great idea. Keeping our headphones only on for an hour. That doesn't mean we can't listen to music. I actually love to listen to my music on my phone just as a speaker versus kind of in my ear.
Yeah.
So I really think that's great advice. And then if you have some concerns about your ears, right, you can definitely come in and see our professionals in the Student Wellness Center. That is what we are here for, to make sure that all areas of our physical health is taken care of. Karen, thank you so much, first of all, for your service to Rutgers Camden for all those years, and then also for being here today for us. So I appreciate you being here.
thank you for having me.
All right, I'm going to switch you out. And while we're switching students, I'm going to kind of remind you of some of our resources that we have. Again, the Student Wellness Center will be closed on our Thanksgiving holiday, Thursday and Friday. We will open back up on Monday at 8:30. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, you can dial 988, text 988. You also have access here at Rutgers Camden. We have You Will. It is student mental health and wellness. It is free, immediate access to a therapist. You can choose a therapist based on your preference, gender, language, ethnicity, focus area, anytime that fits your schedule, nights, weekends, by phone, chat, or message. It is private. It is secure. You can access youwill.com, or you can give them a call, 833-646-1526. Again, that's 833-646-1526. And again, that is to help support your mental health needs while we are away and our office is closed during the holiday. So students, next up, we are going to continue our journey today talking about physical wellness. However, this is a different area of wellness, which I'm super excited about because it is all about food. We have joining us with us today, Blanca Cats is our RU dietitian. And I am so excited to have you here because, again, I love food and we're going to talk about food. Blanca, go ahead and kind of introduce yourself and tell the students a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'm Blanca Cats. I'm a registered dietitian. I'm specifically Rutgers Camden dietitian. So I'm at this campus Monday to Friday, typically 9 to 5, but I always tell students, whatever your schedule is, I'm willing to accommodate. So yeah, I've been at this campus for a few months now. This is my first semester on campus, and I've been having a really great time getting to know the students and being able to build connections with them through food, through wellness. So yeah, I'm really excited to continue my relationships with the students that I've built so far through food, through wellness. A little background on me, I started out in the clinical setting. I realized, it wasn't for me. It was a very great background to have, but I really wanted to have that connection with the students and really see the impact of my work on a daily basis, which I definitely see here on campus. It's really encouraging for me when students come up and they'll say, hey, remember that you recommended for me to get yogurt in the morning? I'm starting to have yogurt every day and I never thought I'd have that before. So seeing that direct impact on a daily basis has been so life-changing for me, and I hope life-changing for the students as well.
I love that. No, and I did not have a dietitian when I was on campus 20 plus years ago. So I love that. Again, we offer so many resources here for our students that are free, part of their paid tuition, part of the services here. Talk to us a little bit, because we have this wonderful holiday coming up.
Yeah.
As a dietitian, tell us some maybe do's or don'ts or thoughts around this Thanksgiving holiday and what we maybe should be doing as far as food.
Yeah, I mean, definitely what I like to preach is mindful munching. So having a plan before you go into Thanksgiving dinner. So that doesn't necessarily mean, okay, I'm going to have exactly this amount of food, exactly this food. Especially if you're getting invited to Thanksgiving, you might not know what food is being served. One way to combat that is maybe bringing something that you know you will enjoy and you won't feel guilty eating afterward. If there's a time for appetizers, maybe indulging in a nice salad or a fiber-filled food like vegetables, green beans, peas. These are all pretty high in fiber that we can start out dinner with, so that we're setting ourselves up for success for not overindulging later in the meal. Just a few examples. Another example would be maybe portion control, whether that's using a smaller plate so that way you're controlling the amount of food that you're putting onto your plate, or if that's not always feasible, again, being invited to Thanksgiving, you might not be able to have that control, but again, maybe filling your plate up with those fiber-filled foods so that way you're setting yourself up for success and not overindulging in the foods that are typically considered high carb, high fat, that we tend to lean a little more into, like the mac and cheese, the stuffings, which are my favorite too. I still want you to have that on Thanksgiving. It's still so yummy, and it's good for our soul. But definitely just setting yourself up for success, not necessarily having an exact plan of what you're going to eat, but really just having that extra second of, okay, I want to set myself up for success. I want to have that fiber-filled plate. Let's go lean towards this food that I know will be nutritious for me, and I know I won't feel as guilty afterward.
No, I love that mindful munching. Like, I'm really going to steal that now because it's I've already started my salads actually already, because I know starting tomorrow it's going to be downhill, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you said that fiber-filled part of it. And then the portion control, right? I've also heard the small plate rule. It doesn't work for me because I just get like 10 small plates. But I do, again, I love the idea of being more mindful of what we take in, and then, kind of having a plan. I'm also a big fan of eating things before I go too, because I have certain things that I like to eat, and well, anyway, I love that though. I love it. All right. So Blanca, tell me a little bit here on campus. What are some of the things that you specifically help students with when it comes to seeing a dietitian? Like, why would they come and see you? What are some of the concerns that many of our students work with you on?
Yeah. So a lot of students will come to me and they really just want to incorporate balance into their lives. A lot of the students are under the impression that healthy equals leafy greens, equals plant-based foods, which, yes, it is nutritious. However, that's not all of what nutrition is. All foods ever give us some type of nutrition, whether that's, even chicken fingers. You're still getting protein from that, which is important.
Yes.
We need to get our proteins in. However, maybe instead of throwing the chicken fingers into the fryer, let's throw them into the air fryer so we're not adding those added fats to the foods. So a lot of the students will come to me just to find a little more balance, and a lot of the times I'm reassuring them that what they're doing is already considered nutritious, but they just need to change their mindset of maybe from restricting to something like, and from going to restricting to encompassing a lot more foods into the diet. We don't want to encourage that restrictive mindset, because really all foods have their place in our diet. All foods do. It's just a matter of the portion controls again and the overindulging.
And you work very closely with dining here, our dining services. So can you give our students kind of an idea, if you had to think about breakfast, lunch, and maybe dinner, a couple of food items that you would recommend to say, okay, maybe are healthier. And dining has, some really good options, but maybe kind of give some students some ideas of maybe some different foods that they could eat.
Yeah, so I know definitely in the dining hall and in the market, we have great yogurt parfaits. Yogurt is a great for gut health. It has healthy bacteria in there. We usually bulk that up with fruits, which are high in fiber, and you're getting those micronutrients like vitamin C, fiber, potassium, a whole bunch of things. So I would say breakfast time and have some yogurt, have some berries or whatever seasonal fruit is in. Oatmeal and grits, that's another great quick and easy food that is high in fiber. You can bulk that up with milk. You can tone it down with water. It really depends on what your flavor preference is. You can add chia seeds to up that protein and fiber content. Again, adding those fresh fruits to up that fiber content as well. For lunchtime, I would recommend something like, my favorite thing has been the flatbreads and tossed and toasted, one of the newer deli concepts that we have on campus. It is already pretty balanced. The one I like to get is the Santa Fe flatbread. I don't get ham just because ham is not my favorite, but it can still be incorporated into a nutritious diet. What I would recommend is getting any dressings on the side, so that way you're able to control the portions of the dressings. The dressings can get pretty calorically dense, especially in the portions. So asking for a dressing on the side, that would be kind of my favorite. And really anything from tossed and toasted is pretty well balanced. All of the wraps and the salads, they have those fiber-filled foods that we talked about, that lettuce, the beans I know we have in some of the salads, tomatoes, cucumbers. These are all really great foods that are packed with those micronutrients, especially we're getting into winter now. We need those micronutrients to really help us build up our immune system during the winter time. So that's what I would recommend to have for lunch. For dinner time, Sono has been one of my favorite throughout the semester. You can do so many different things with Sono, the tacos, the quesadillas, the burrito bowls. Yes. And these are already pretty balanced as it is too. Having the rice, maybe opting for that brown rice to get a little more of that fiber content, having those beans, again, the fiber content and the protein content. These are easy ways for us to up our protein and fiber content, which a lot of students seem to leave out of their diet. So Sono has been a favorite of mine because on its own, it can be very balanced. Just incorporating those fresher foods in there, like adding that pico de gallo to your quesadilla, adding your lettuce to your burrito bowl. Yes, so good. One of my favorites.
You're making me hungry. I'm
like, right?
Okay. So, and one of the things, and I love that you talked about, even with the yogurt, for example, the gut health, because in mental health, we're making that transition of looking at the whole body, but we are talking about balancing what's going on from that interoceptive perspective and the gut health. And so many families that I work with don't realize the importance of gut health and stabilizing. It's kind of like when you wake up and you have anxiety and your stomach hurts, right? Or the idea that even late at night, a lot of kiddos are saying, hey, my stomach hurts. And sometimes it is about what's going on with that gut to even help balance anxiety, mental health concerns. You mentioned yogurt. Any other foods that are really good for our gut health that students have access to, maybe?
Yeah. Another one, which I feel like people will be a little surprised on this one, pickles.
I've heard that. Yes.
Yeah. Great for gut health. Another one, which I feel like this is maybe not a common one too, sauerkraut and also kimchi. I know kimchi we don't serve on campus currently. Okay. However, I am trying to work on it with our chefs. Okay. One of the things that I do on the campus again is working close with the culinary team. I'm usually that face for the students that they feel comfortable to give me their feedback on what's going on in the dining hall or just in dining in general. So trust me, I do hear your feedback, and I am trying my very best to get chefs to incorporate your ideas into the menu.
Well, and that's why I really wanted you to highlight the healthy stuff and what students can eat, because I think I hear that as a complaint, and even in student wellness, the dining food's not good for you. And I'm like, no, not true. I've had their dining when we have events and stuff here, and they have some really great food. Yeah. And I think that even the buffet style of it, sometimes can be overwhelming to say I just go straight for the fries versus, hey, let me check out the Sono Station. Let me see what else is here. Yeah. And then creating meals that actually help with wellness. We can do that right here in our dining. So I love that you're pointing that out. So one of the biggest concerns that I hear from students is nighttime snacking.
Okay.
Can you give us some ideas on what might be healthier items for nighttime snacking versus the ice cream and the donuts and the carbs that we run to at night? Yeah. What might be some good nighttime snacks available for students?
A few of my favorites that I know a lot of students have taken into consideration in their diets, always pairing your snacks with two or more food groups. So a protein and a fat, or a carb and a fat. So having like apples with peanut butter or whatever nut butter is your preference if you have an allergy. Another favorite of mine, which can be a little peculiar, is apples and yogurt. A lot of people may not like that, but if it does satisfy that sweetness that you might crave at night. It's okay to get that vanilla yogurt. Maybe let's get vanilla Greek yogurt so that we're upping that protein content. Another favorite of mine would be something like bell peppers and cream cheese. Another, it's a non-starchy vegetable with typically cream cheese is a fat. So having that combination is setting you up for success, so that way you're not going back for more. We're satisfied with the plate that we made for ourselves, and we're able to go to bed happy and satisfied.
Yeah, the nighttime snacking, mine's like guac and chips, so I have to work on it.
No, that's great. Still.
Oh, it's okay?
Guac,
All right.
Yeah, guac is amazing. The avocado is a healthy fat. It's pretty high in fiber. You're getting micronutrients from it. That's a great snack.
All right, then.
Yeah,
All right,
do not knock yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I'm always like my gut issues. I'm like, it's probably all the tacos, guac, everything that I eat 3-4 times a week. But again, I love that you're saying, no, we're doing good. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, Blanca, once again, can you tell students how can they reach out to you? How do they get in touch with you? Yeah. What appointment times look like? Let students know how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so I'm almost always in Raptor Dining Hall. Yes, you may see me running around a lot. I do many different things within our dining hall, but hey, I will have the time to stop for you and hear your concerns. I do have a sign by my Wellness Wednesday tablings across from the marketplace, the market convenience store. I always have a sign there with my face on it. It says Meet the Dietitian with the QR code for my bookings page. So my bookings page automatically takes out any times that I have meetings or meetings with other students, meetings with my culinary team, and it'll give you all the available times for us to meet. For students who are meeting for the first time, you would set up an initial consultation. Any other students that I've already met with will do follow-up consultations. I'm also available for dining hall tours. So if you really are not able to, if you need assistance navigating the dining hall, we can set up a time for us to go through the dining hall, give you recommendations of what you like, and then how we can make it work within the dining hall itself. So a lot of students maybe are unfamiliar with that too, because yes, we can have our time set up to speak individually, but if maybe that seems a little intimidating to you, then we can have a more casual, lax conversation in the dining hall, walking through and pointing out the more nutritious foods. So that's some ways to, those are some ways to get in contact with me. My email is rudietitian@gourmetdiningllc.com. That is the main point of contact for myself. And many different people are on that email, so we are not going to miss your email. In case you do reach out, someone will reach out to you.
Great. Well, Blanca, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. This has been super helpful. I personally don't eat in the dining, but I wish I had this information when I was a student in my dining hall. But students, definitely please take advantage and definitely reach out. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, folks, as we transition out, you can go ahead. ahead. Yep. We are going to just kind of close. I know this week here on campus is very quiet. There is a fun activity going on this evening from 5 to 8. The Anime and Manga Association, they have a glass painting event that's happening in West AB. I know it starts to get lonely and quiet. If you are looking for some connection, many people are starting to leave campus. So for those of you that are staying here on campus, that would be a great way. Naman's like, yeah, me too, right? A great way to kind of feel connected, get involved with something. Go on Engage. There are some events that are happening over the next 2 days that are on Engage. I did look personally this morning just to see what's there for students, because it can be a lonely feeling. I remember one semester myself staying during the Thanksgiving break on campus when I was in college, and that was lonely. It was hard. It was quiet. It was cold. We ordered like a pizza and everybody shared slices. But again, if you're here on campus, we want to make sure that you get connected in some way over the next few days. Tomorrow, our STI clinic is closed, and so that will not be happening tomorrow. We will pick up next week, Wednesday. The Scarlet Raptor's Nest is open today. Yes, I'm looking at Naman. Yes, it is open today. So if you want to get those last minute Thanksgiving snacks, treats, things that you might need to sustain you while the campus is closed over the next couple of days, go ahead and take advantage of that. If you are new to our Wellness Wednesdays programming, I love that Blanca even said she has Wellness Wednesday, which is great. She's in the dining hall. We're on campus. This Wednesday, we will not have programming, but next week, Wednesday, we do have our final pause program with our social emotional support dogs. They will be here in the library. We'll also have our medical team there talking about HIV/AIDS awareness and celebrating our nearing of the end of the semester with our dogs, and helping us to relax from some of that final stress that's starting to creep up. I know Mercy said she's got a presentation today. The papers are rolling in. This is this time of the semester. We are all feeling it. I don't know about you. I'm grading so much stuff, and like my poor hand, I'm trying to type and grade, and it's we'll get through it. We'll get through it, students. All right. So as we close today, I would definitely like to thank our special guest, Karen Kramer, as well as Blanca Cats, who joined us today. Students, we are here to help support you with your medical and mental health needs in our Student Wellness Center. You can make an appointment by going to the wellnesscenter.camden.rutgers.edu, or you can give us a call at 856-225-6005. If you're experiencing a medical emergency, please call 911. If you're having a mental health emergency, you can call or text 988. And we are so excited to be wrapping up our season. Next week, my host B chair will be back. Dr. Shaw will be here with me as we close out our final show next week, talking about all things stress, finals, getting ready for our winter holiday. Students, please take care of yourself during this holiday. Be safe, and we will see you next week. Be well.